While the world watches the two superpowers battle for the high ground, the African continent is becoming increasingly nervous as it launches its continental free trade zone.
Generally, I think it's bad news for Africa, simply because it will make things more volatile. It will make cooperation on a bunch of issues more difficult. And then it will also possibly drive up prices. You know, because global value chains are so tangled, and so many, even American products end up having parts and manufacturing and so on happening in China, it could just simply add a lot of noise and complication to already kind of like difficult and fraught trade situation for Africa.
But there appears to be an upside for individual countries.
China included things like certain kind of fruit, dried fruit and wine coming from the US. And obviously a place like South Africa produces a lot of those similar products. So in that kind of narrow scope, it might, you know, kind of help certain individual sectors.
On an African continental level, it appears that the US is under pressure, while China has taken a different approach.
You see a situation where China is working very, very hard at courting Africa, including Africa in a lot of its global development plans, when it didn't need to, particularly. While at the same time, the US has had a rocky relationship with Africa over the last year.
The US-Africa Growth and Opportunity Act is a complicating factor. It gives preferential trade agreements and arrangements to several African countries, but already cracks are appearing.
Under the trade war, there's talk of possible tariffs on some South African exports to the US. There's a spat between Rwanda and the US in terms of the importation of second-hand clothes, and Rwanda losing some of its preferential treatment.
They say that when two elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers. In this case, it's the African continent that may or may not suffer. I'm Angelo Coppola for CGTN in Johannesburg, South Africa.